Good morning, Steve Conybeare here. I'm sitting in a queue waiting for my COVID test. I've got surgery on Wednesday morning, and of course they won't operate unless you've got a clear COVID test. So I'm sitting here waiting, and I've got about an hour's wait. So I thought, oh well, I might put together a video or two just to encourage those of you that know me and are part of my network. During the week, I was thinking about what's happening, as we all are, because of the prisons that we are in. Some more than others, I guess. And I was reflecting on an Old Testament story about the building of the Tower of Babel. For those of you who are not familiar with the Old Testament, the Jewish history book, in Genesis, I think it's chapter 11, there's talk about a king, a fierce man named Nimrod, who wanted to bring all the people together in one place and build a city, a tower that would reach into heaven. Instead of people dispersing and living rurally and populating the whole planet, he wanted the control of the people all in one place. Now, they were one people group with one language, one culture, and so communication was easy. They were all on the same page, and he decided he would build this tower to heaven. And I thought, what on earth was the logic of building a tower into heaven or to reach the heavens? And as a bit of background to this, the way they thought, much of our history has been hidden from us. There is so much that we haven't been taught. And I'm learning more and more now that our whole education system has dumbed us down. We haven't even been taught history as we should have. And if you look through history, and there's a video series called The Lost History of Planet Earth. And it's quite a brilliant documentary on things that we've never been told. Anyway, preceding the building of the Tower of Babel, it's apparent that in the earth there were these giant trees. In fact, I'll just give you an example of one. Hopefully you can see that. You see that tree there? It's been chopped down. That's just the tree stump. They call them silicon towers. But the base of that tree is about 12 kilometers. And it's a small one, believe it or not. There are some tree bases, and you would think they were mountains until you look on top of them and you can see the plain level and you can see the circular indications of the age of the tree. And they're thousands of years old. And some of the branches of these trees have sedimented into the ground around them. And some of those branches are higher than the Empire State Building, well over 1,500 feet. So, and we find these trees in Australia, Canada, Venezuela, France, South Africa. They're all over the world, staggering sizes. And they have a silicon construction rather than a carbon one. And apparently silicon doesn't fade. You know, carbon life forms degenerate, they age, they get sick. A silicon life form doesn't do that. It tends to be there for longevity. So we see these massive tree stumps. So who knows how high or how big these trees were. But it was understood that prior to Nimrod, there was an era when heaven and earth was united. It was joined literally by these giant trees. There was access for man to go into the heavens and for the heavens to come down to earth by maybe they were portals, who knows? There's so much mystery surrounding this, but we do know that due to the fall of man, God told his angels to actually chop down the trees. In other words, man wasn't going to access God on his terms anymore because of the sin they'd chosen to live in. And so having that background, we can see Nimrod, in defiance of God, says, well, we're going to build a tower and get back into the heavens. And if you were familiar with the Psalms, for example, Psalm 82 and Psalm 89, it talks about God having a divine council among the other gods in the skies. You know, some say in the heavens, because sky literally is heaven, it's above the earth, and heaven literally means that which is high or above the earth. But there was an understanding of the Old Testament that God met with other gods in the divine council. And that's why, for example, God is called El Elyon, or God Most High. He is the Most High God. Well, how can he be the Most High God if there are no other gods below him? And it's not he's the Most High God like he's bigger than the rest of them. He's the Most High God. He's separate and distinct because he is the creator of all the lesser gods, all the lesser divine beings. But he allows them to share in his counsel, in the administration of the universe and all the creations of God. And so this is the background with Nimrod saying, we're going to go to where God is, you know, God's mountain in the skies, either be it through a portal or through a literal connection with a heavenly plane. Who knows? But that was his intention. And God talks to his divine counsel and he says, the imagination of man's heart is evil, you know, and they are united in this. If we don't do something, there won't be anything they won't be able to achieve. So God said to his council, let us go down and confuse their languages. So God comes down and he does a miracle. He actually confounds the languages of the nations. And so instead of being one people group that all could communicate, now all of a sudden they can't communicate with each other because there are probably 70 different language groups that have now been created by this miracle of God. And so they all disperse into their own people language groups so that they can do what they need to do to build their own societies again. So God disabled this city, this all living in one place, all trying to go higher and higher to reach the heavens. God put an end to that. And man just went out and they began to fill the earth. Now, having thought of that, I look back today and I think, you know what? The Tower of Babel is being built again. This time it's not a literal structure to go into the heavens, but it is an economic, it is a financial, it is a medical, it is a political, it is an educational tower that tries to displace God and put God on our terms. And I call this new Tower of Babel the New World Order. And it is no longer ran by Nimrod, this elite superhuman being. It is now being headed by a group of oligarchs that think they're gods, think they're better than everybody else, and they want to control you and me. People like Klaus Schwab, who has just written the book COVID-19 and the Great Reset, and his famous words, you know, you will own nothing, but you will be happy. And I think, we will own nothing and we'll be happy. Well, who will own what we don't? And that's the mentality of the oligarchs, this Khazarian mafia, Illuminati, Club of Rome, global elite, whatever you want to call them. But there are a group of oligarchs that seem to think that they will be gods over our lives in this new world order, and they will displace God, and they'll do that by taking away your rights, and ultimately they will demand our allegiance and maybe even our worship, and they will be the new Caesars of the day. You know, Caesar, the Roman emperor, thought he was God, and people would have to raise their hands when they saw Roman soldiers, and they would say, Caesar is Lord. But the Christians wouldn't do that. They would say, Jesus is Lord. And so they were seen as traitors, and often They were persecuted and executed because they wouldn't acknowledge that Caesar was Lord. And we haven't quite got there yet with the New World Order, but it's definitely an order that wants to displace God and our understanding of God and create a God that they want us to worship. And it is a God that will not honor the God, true God. And so this is what we are facing today. But I had a thought, and I believe it was an insight God gave me. And it was this. There's a verse in Psalm 2, and it says, "Why do the heathens rage and imagine awful things? They said in their heart, they will destroy God and his anointed." And it says, the Lord sits in the heavens and he laughs at them. He sees them as foolish. So all this pomp and ceremony and all this manipulation of these oligarchs that want to bring in this new world order, and they want to displace God and set up another image of God that they will be. And God just looks at them and thinks, "You idiots, who do you think you are? You are nothing but flesh and blood, and I can just do this and you're gone." And so God looks down now at this New World Order with a smile on his face thinking, yeah, bring it on. But what God is doing, he's mobilizing people everywhere to see what's going on, to say that he's not going to just turn up and solve our problems for us, so we go back to our old ways and let the same thing happen in another generation. This has got to stop. And I watched yesterday a song by Eric Clapton, and the song is called "This Has Got to Stop." And he talks about the reaction he had to the vaccine that almost destroyed him, and how he was manipulated into believing it was all okay and it was going to be fine. And he began to see the manipulation and dishonesty of what's going on and the overreach of governments. And he sings, "If you want to come and get me, you better break down my door." And I thought, the music industry, Van Morrison as well, are now writing songs and singing about, hey, we're taking our lives back. And I'm seeing this everywhere at the minute. All around the world, we're seeing people saying to these oligarchs, to this New World Order, to this building of the Tower of Babylon, we are not going to build with you. No way. We are not going to build. And I believe when it gets to a point of mass where God can see people everywhere saying, enough's enough. We will not follow this New World Order. We will follow God into a new ordered world. And I believe we're getting to that mass. And God will say again to his council, let us go down and confuse them. Let's divide them again. And I can see now that work of God in partnership with people of all races and colors and creeds is beginning to happen. Division is coming amongst the New World Order building this new temple, the new Tower of Babel. And they can't continue the work. There are too many spanners in the works because things are beginning to happen. And you watch, there'll be a division now of the medical and government. They will turn on each other. That is beginning to unfold. There will be political instability now where politicians will now start turning against each other in a major way in regard to what's going on with this new building that replaces the knowledge of God. And I'm seeing it in families. People are saying, hang on, something's not right.